as the black sheep and the scapegoat. Both of these terms get used a lot, but most people don't actually understand what they mean. And if you've ever been called either, you've likely felt the weight of it, because these aren't just labels. They're roles that get assigned in systems that don't deal with truth directly. What the black sheep is. The black sheep is the one who doesn't align with what's expected. You think differently. You question things others accept. You don't go along just to keep things comfortable. You see what doesn't make sense, and you can't ignore it. The black sheep stands out because they don't conform. What the scapegoat is. The scapegoat is the one who carries what others won't address. When something is off, attention shifts to you. You become the reason, the explanation, the outlet. Not because you caused it, but because the system avoids dealing with what's real. The scapegoat carries what the system refuses to own. When both roles are forced on you, this is where it gets complex. Because now you're not just different, you're also blamed. You're the one who sees the truth and the one who gets penalized for it. So what happens? You speak up, you're labeled difficult. You stay quiet, you're still seen as the issue. You try to explain, you're dismissed or misunderstood. You pull back, you're blamed for disengaging. You can't win inside the role because the role was never designed for you to. You became both the disruption and the container for the dysfunction. And over time, that does something. You question your reality. You overanalyze your behavior. You start wondering if you are really the problem. That's the impact. The reality most people miss. This is not about you. It's about the system in environments that avoid accountability. The person who sees clearly often becomes the one who carries the tension. So, what gets labeled as the problem is often the person closest to the truth. The impact. Living in both roles create pressure from both sides. You're expected to conform, but you can't. You're blamed, but not actually heard. You're visible, but not understood. And over time, you shrink to avoid being targeted. You overfunction to prove your value. You disconnect from your own voice until eventually you don't just experience the role, you start to believe it. Liberation. Separate yourself from the assignment. This is where it shifts. You are not the role. You were placed in a position that exposed something others wouldn't address. Liberation begins when you ask, what is actually mine and what was placed on me? And you stop carrying what isn't yours. Visibility. See the pattern clearly. When you step back, you start to recognize where the truth is avoided, where blame is redirected, where your role was assigned, not chosen. This is where the stigma starts to break. because now you're not questioning yourself. You're seeing the system. Transformation. Reclaim your leadership. You don't overcome this by proving the label wrong. You don't overcome it by stepping out of the role entirely. You stop performing. You stop over-explaining. You stop seeking validation from misaligned spaces. And you start leading from clarity. You move from being labeled to becoming intentional. Integration. The reality. Here's the truth. Without liberation, you can't carry what isn't yours. Without visibility, you keep questioning yourself. Without transformation, you stay in the role. And the longer you stay, the more it shapes your identity. Closing reflection. Where have I been seen as different and treated as the problem? What have I been carrying that was never mine? Where am I still trying to prove I'm not the issue? Final truth. When both roles are forced on you, it can make you question everything. But the truth is, you were never the problem. You were the one who saw it. And once you stop carrying what isn't yours, you don't just free yourself. You lead from a place most people never reach.